In the last couple of lectures, we learned about template reference variable, and we learned that a template reference variable stores a reference to a DOM element, a component, or a directive. Now, in this lecture, we are going to learn about ViewChild decorator and what is its use. So, the ViewChild decorator is basically used to query and get a reference of the DOM element in the component, and it returns the first matching element. Let's try to understand this with a simple example. For that, let's go to the source folder. In there, we have this app folder. In there, we have this container folder. And in the container folder, we have this search folder. And in this search folder, we have our search component. So if I go to search component.html file, there you will notice that here we have an input element. And on that input element, we are using this search input template reference variable. Now, what we are doing here is we also have a button element here. So when we want to pass a reference to this input element to the component class, to the search component class here, what we are doing is whenever this button is clicked, we are binding the click event here. And whenever this button is clicked, we are calling this update search text method. And to that, we are passing this template reference variable as a argument. So whenever the button will be clicked, this search input, it is storing a reference to this input element. So we are passing that reference to the component class, and we are going to receive that reference inside this input element parameter. So here the component class will receive a reference to this input element only after the button is clicked. But sometimes we might want to access a DOM element without waiting for some event to happen. Right. Currently what will happen is only after the click event has happened, only after that the component class will have a reference to the input element. But now what we want is instead of waiting for the click event to happen in order to get access to a reference to the input element, we want to get access to this input element as soon as this search component is loaded. So instead of passing this input element as an argument here to this method, what we want is as soon as this search component is loaded, we want to access this input element. Okay, so for that, first of all, I have removed that argument from here, and from the method, let's also remove this parameter, this input element parameter. And now we need to find a way using which we can access this input element in the view template in our component class. For that, the first thing which I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a variable, and I will simply call it search input element. Okay, so this is one property, and in this property, we want to store a reference to this input element. For that, we can decorate this property with @ViewChild decorator. Now, in order to use this @ViewChild decorator, we need to import it from Angular/Co. Now, this ViewChild decorator, it takes two parameters. The first parameter is required and the second parameter is optional. And the required parameter, that means the first parameter is basically a selector. A selector can be a string value, a component name, or a directive name. Now here, we want to select this input element using this template reference variable. So we need to pass this template reference variable name as a string to this @ViewChild decorator, like this. And now this search input element, it will store a reference to this input element. And this is the use of @ViewChild decorator. The @ViewChild decorator allows us to access a DOM element, a component, or a directive from the view template in the component class. And since we know that this property here, it is going to store a reference to an HTML element, we can specify the type of this property as element ref. Okay, and in order to use this element ref, again, we need to import it from Angular/Co. And now here inside this update search text method, instead of using input element, we have removed this parameter from this method. So instead of using input element, all we have to do is we have to use this search input element, which is going to store a reference to this input element in the DOM. All right. And here we cannot directly use this value property here. In order to use this value property on this search input element, first we need to call native element. And also keep in mind that this search input element is a property of this search component class. So in order to access it, we need to access it using this keyword. And that's it. Now, the search functionality should be working as it was working earlier. But now instead of passing the reference of this input element through an argument, now we are directly accessing this input element in our component class using ViewChild decorator. So if I save the changes here, and if we go to the web page, if I type something inside this search text box, let's say Nike, and if I click on the search button, you see we are seeing this search result for Nike. And also if I scroll down, you will see only those products here whose name contains Nike in it. So the search functionality is still working, but this time instead of passing the reference of this search input element through method parameter, now we are directly accessing this input element via storing a reference of this input element inside this search input element property using ViewChild decorator. And that's what this definition says. It says that a ViewChild decorator is used to query and get a reference of the DOM element in the component from the view template. And keep in mind that it will always return the first matching element. For example, if we have used this search input template reference variable on multiple DOM elements, this ViewChild is not going to return all those elements. It will only return the first element. It will only query the first element on which we have used this template reference variable. And we will see this with an example in our next lecture. But keep in mind that this ViewChild, it is only going to return the first matching element based on the selector. And here the selector is basically the template reference variable. Now this ViewChild decorator, it also takes a second optional argument, which is an optional object. And in there we can specify two properties, the read property and the static property. So let me go ahead and let me put a comment here. So the first property of this second argument is read, and this read is used to read the different tokens from the required elements. And the second property is static. This static property basically tells when the query should be resolved. By default, the static property is always set to true. This means that the query will be resolved as soon as the view is initialized. So in this example, as I mentioned, by default, the static is set to true. Okay, so what will happen is, as soon as the view for this search component is initialized, this search input element will be assigned with a reference to this input element. But if I go ahead and if I set it to false, in that case, this search input element will not be assigned immediately. That means even though the view has been rendered, this search input element will not be assigned with a reference to this input element. It will only get assigned with a reference to that input element when the change detection cycle runs. Okay, so after every change detection cycle, this search input element will be assigned. Now, we have not talked about change detection cycle yet, but we are going to talk about it in great detail in our future lecture. But just keep in mind that if you want to assign your ViewChild property immediately, in that case, either you need not to specify this static property because by default it is true, or you can simply set it to true. But if you don't want to assign it immediately and you want to assign it only after every change detection cycle, then you can set this static property to false. Now from here, I will simply remove this second optional argument. We don't need it here. I just wanted to explain you the second argument and what it does. All right, so with this example, now I hope you understand what is the use of ViewChild decorator. Now here we have used this ViewChild decorator to assign a reference of a DOM element to a property. But we can also use ViewChild decorator to assign a reference to a component to a property. Let's see that with another example. So let me go ahead and let me close these two files. And now let's go ahead and let's open this container component. So let me go to container component.html. In there, you will notice that inside this container component, we have three child components: this search component, this product list component, and the product detail component. Now, in the previous lecture, we added this template reference variable on this product list component. And inside this product list component, we have a property called selected product, right? And that selected product stores the product on which the user has clicked to see its details. Now, what we want is from this product list component, we want to pass the value stored in the selected product property to this product detail component. Now, if you notice, this product list and product detail, they are sibling components. They do not have a parent-child relationship. So how can we pass the value stored in the selected product property in the product list component to this product detail component? One of the ways which we have already talked about is by using a combination of custom property binding and custom event binding. So here we have this container component, and this container component has two child components: product list component and product detail component. In this product list component, we have selected product property. So here what we can do is, in order to pass the selected product property from product list component to container component, we can make use of custom event binding and at output decorator. In this way, this container component, that means this parent component, will also have access to selected product property. And then from this parent component, we can pass that selected product property to this product detail component, which is the child component of this container component, using custom property binding and at input decorator. So this is one way in which we can achieve it. And we have already seen how we can do that. Another way is, what we can do is, again, we can use ViewChild decorator, and using the ViewChild decorator, we can get access to this product list component. We can have a reference to this product list component. So here I'm creating a property called product list component, and on that I'm using ViewChild decorator, and using that I am getting access to a reference to this product list component. And then using at input decorator and custom property binding, I can pass that reference, a reference to this product list component, to this product detail component. And in there, I can access the selected product property of this product list component. Let's see how we can achieve this. So the first thing which I'm going to do is, in the container component class, I'm going to create a property. I'll call it product list component. Okay, so this is the property name. And in this property, I want to assign a reference to product list component. So here we have this product list component, and I want to assign this property with a reference to this product list component. Basically, when this product list component will be rendered in the web page, an instance of this product list component will be created. And I want to assign a reference to that instance to this product list component property. Okay, so here the type is going to be product list component. And in order to use this product list component, we need to import it from this file path. So as you can see, we have imported it from this file path. And on this property, I'm also going to use at ViewChild decorator. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the mandatory argument for this ViewChild decorator is a selector. Now, when we use this ViewChild decorator in the search component, there we pass the template reference variable as the selector. We can do the same thing here as well. So from the container component.html, we can copy this template reference variable and we can specify it as a selector here. But what we can also do is, we can use this component name as the selector. So in this view template, we are using this product list component only once. Here this product list, it is basically a selector, but when we are using this product list, basically it is going to initialize the product list component. Okay, so what we can also do is, here instead of passing the template reference variable, we can directly specify the component name, and the component name in this case is product list component. Okay. Also, in order to use this ViewChild decorator, we need to import it from Angular/Go. And now what will happen is this product list component property, it will store a reference to this product list component. Okay. So here inside this container component, we have a property called product list component, which is storing a reference to this product list component. Now, from the container component, we want to pass this property to this product detail component, to its child component. For that, let's go to product detail component. Let's go to its component class. And here inside this product detail component, let's go ahead and let's create a new property. Let's call it maybe product list comp. It is going to be of type product list component. Let me select it from here so that it will be automatically imported. Okay, and let me decorate it with @input decorator. And in order to use this @input decorator, we also need to import it from Angular/Go. So now this property can act as an input property. That means we can bind this property to any TypeScript expression. Now, where are we using this product detail component? We are using it inside this container component.html here, right? So what I'm going to do is here, I'm also going to bind this product list component property. So in order to bind the property, first we need to use a set of square brackets. In there, we specify the property name. Here, the property name is product list component. And to that, I want to assign the product list component property, which we have created inside this container component here. So I will copy this property name and I will assign that property to this product list comp property of product detail component. And in this way, in the product detail component also, we have a property called product list comp, which is going to store a reference to this product list component. Okay. And from that product list component, we can access its selected product property. And we can assign that selected product property to this product property. Now we cannot do it here. So we cannot say product equals this dot product list comp dot selected product. This will not work. Why? Because first of all, initially when the page will load, at that time no product will be selected. So at that time, this product list component will be undefined because no product has been selected. Okay, so initially let's set it with the value undefined. And let me move this line of code after this initialization. Now we don't have any errors, but it is still not going to work. And why it is not going to work is because when this product detail component will be rendered in the web page, it is basically going to initialize this product detail component class. And when this class will be initialized, its constructor will be called first. And by the time that constructor is called, this product list comp property and this product property, they will not have been initialized. They are still undefined. Let me actually show you that practically. So if I save the changes, let's go to the web page. Okay. And if I click on any one of these products, you see nothing is happening. Let me open developer console here. And if we go to the console tab, you will see that we have an error. And the error says cannot read property of undefined, reading selected product. So when we clicked on this product in the product list component, so here we have this product list component.ts, there this selected product has been assigned with that particular selected product which we have clicked. But when we are trying to access it in our product detail component, it is saying that it is undefined. This product list component is undefined. That's because this product list component is not yet initialized. Now, how we will know that this product list component is initialized? Well, basically, Angular provides us with some lifecycle hooks. Now, we have not talked about lifecycle hooks yet, but we are going to talk about it in great detail in our coming lectures. But just understand that when a component is rendered in the web page, it goes through a lifecycle, and we can hook our logic for different lifecycle stages. And one of the lifecycle stage is ng on init. Okay, so this ng on init, it is a lifecycle hook. This ng on init method here, it will get called whenever all the properties of the component class is initialized. Okay, now I'm not going to go deep into this ng on init lifecycle hook. I'll cover this topic in great detail in our coming lectures. But for now, what we can do is, instead of initializing this product property here, we can initialize this product property inside this ng on init. So here we can simply say this dot product equals, let me copy this line from here, or actually I'll cut it from here and let me paste it here. So what we are doing here is, when this component will be rendered in the web page, an instance of this product detail component will be created. And after the instance is created, this property will be initialized. This product list comp property will be initialized, and it will store a reference to the instance of this product list component. And once this property is initialized, after that only this ng on init method will run. And that's why we are writing this logic. We are assigning this product property with this value inside this ng on init. Because when this ng on init lifecycle hook will run, by that time we know that this product list comp property, it is initialized with an instance of product list component class. And then on that, we can access its selected product property. And with this, our application should be working now. So now, inside this product detail component, we will have access to the selected product. We are storing it inside this product variable. What we can do now is, we can use this product property in our view template. So let's go to the view template of this product detail component. And there, instead of specifying this hard-coded value, I'm going to use string interpolation syntax. In there, I'll use this product property. On that, I will access this name property. So for now, let's simply access the name property and let's see if it works. Let's save the changes. Let's go to the web page. Let me reload the page. And let's also close this developer console. Now, when I click on this first product, you will see the name of that product is displayed here. Currently, this cross button is not working, so I'll simply refresh the page. If I select the second product, then the name of the second product is displayed here. If I select some other product, maybe this one, you see the name of that product has been displayed here. Okay. And in this way, we can also go ahead and we can replace these hard-coded values with the appropriate property. For example, we can replace this hard-coded value with product.image. Let me go ahead and let me bind this source property first. Okay, and here on this product, we don't have image. Instead, it is image URL. Okay, so now if you go to the web page, the image of that particular product should be displayed, as you can see. Okay, in this way, we can go ahead and we can replace these hard-coded values with the given properties. So consider this as an assignment for you, and please go ahead and use the data binding concepts here in order to replace these values. So here you need to replace it with product.gender, this one with brand, this one with category, and so on. Also here, where we are displaying the price, there I'm displaying two prices. The first price is the original price, and the second price is the discounted price. Now, not all the products have the discounted price. Okay, so in that case, if the product has a discounted price, in that case, you can show both of these spans. But if the product does not have a discounted price, in that case, you need to hide this span. So here you can use ng if directive and check if the product has a discounted price. Then only you need to display this span. Then here you need to use ng for directive and you need to loop over the size array. So if you remember, if I go to this product class here, Here you see we have this size property and it is of type array. So what you can do is you can loop over that array and you can repeat this span for each array element. You need to do the same thing here for color because color is also an array. So you need to use ng for directive and loop over the color array and display each color. And then you also need to set this style dynamically based on the color value. Okay, so if you see in the web page, instead of displaying the color name, we are displaying the color itself. We are not displaying the color name. So based on the color element in the colors array, you need to display the color instead of displaying the name. So please go ahead and do it by yourself. I will create a separate lecture with the solution for these tasks. Okay. All right. So this is all from this lecture. Thank you for listening and have a great day.